I feel like a lot of consumers sort of feel that they're so removed from the farmer that they couldn't possibly make a difference. And that is like, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Generally, how I got into coffee was sort of volunteering for a cafe up in Clifton called Rose Street Cafe. Got to kind of get my hands dirty with some interesting coffee things and also do the volunteer piece just to kind of meet those requirements. But then it was kind of a slippery slope. The core group of us kind of just stayed together doing coffee-related things throughout the city. September 2012, we were big enough to where we could afford the payroll increase, so I quit my engineering job and came on full time, and we've just kind of been doing our thing ever since, man. I think a lot of people assume that the local coffee shop just roasts like in the back or like down the road and then they bring the stuff there, but that's not necessarily the case. Some do, you know, there's some around here that are local shops that actually roast their own stuff. Most of the shops around are actually pulling from like a guy like us, who our core competency is finding really beautiful coffees. Obviously, with an agricultural product, it's seasonal, so it's my job then to kind of play with that seasonality and play with flavor profiles that we want to fit in each of those slots, and then just buying the right amount. It's kind of this game of like understanding how flavors play and how flavors would play with each other if you do a blend. And some people admittedly will come in and maybe not necessarily be able to taste the difference, but if they taste them with us, we've had interesting cases where it'll click for people. But I wouldn't like try to drink a coffee you don't like just because you think that you should be liking it. Coffee should not be a snooty thing. It should be approachable. It should be intentional, but that doesn't mean exclusive. What our company is about is treating people as fairly as possible through the whole supply chain. What it really boils down to is that coffee is traded on the stock market just like any other commodity, and fair trade is essentially, it sets a floor for what coffee is worth. People were getting exploited, and if the market tanks, then farmers can be losing money. They're trying to sell their coffee and it's getting sold for less than what they've got into it. So fair trade, just in its easiest sense, is just setting a floor that the farmer can't get paid any less than this if this coffee is fair trade certified. What we're doing is trying to like say that's great, let's take it a step further. How can we not just buy coffee that's traded as a commodity? How can we buy coffee a little more transparently so that we're buying a more unique, a higher quality coffee, so that we can trace the coffee back to the farmer in a lot of cases, where we know them well enough to get information back to them saying, you guys are the experts in farming, you know that we're the experts in tasting, here's what we're tasting and here's how farming can affect it. Let's have a conversation around ways that you guys can adjust certain practices to make it taste better in the cup, solely for the simple fact that if it tastes better in the cup, then you're going to get paid more for it. And that's why we're in this, is to try to get more money back to the farmer or group of farmers without seeming imperialistic, you know. So our goal is just to work with people who we trust to treat farmers and cooperatives of farmers better, and then roast it in such a way that it's showcasing that coffee as well as we can, so that people are willing to pay $4 or $5 for a cup of coffee. And it seemed crazy, but then they like turn left and see the picture of the guy who grew it on the wall. It's just to try to make that story clearer and try to bring justice in as much as we can to every part of the supply chain all the way to the cup. To get them to see what's going on and then care about it, that's the game, man. That's what gets us pumped. That's why we all get up.